Okay. Start now?
Yeah.
For today, this presentation is about the comparison between two ARPs of different time era, different time period. So basically, the two items that I'm going to present today is figures of Akhenaten and Greek goddess from the East Pediment, which is in a Parthenon. So can you please go to the next one?
すごいですね。
I thought you guys were surprised by this picture and I didn't know why. Okay, so basically this figure, the name of this arc is Figure of Akhenaten. I don't think it's like a real title, but since they don't have any, I mean, it's not that characteristic to have like their own title. They said just the name of the king, which is Akhenaten, so just try to express himself. And this is during the Amarna period, and as you know, Amarna period. Try to discuss the Amarna period. It's really important. It's like really important to say there's the difference in this this evolutionary changes in Egyptian art. So basically, this is about 13 feet, so it's more over the life size, made with the limestone. And then they found this on the temple called Amala. I'm not sure about that. So, and then it's the purpose mainly to worship this Akhenaten after his death. And the characteristic of this figure is very I would say it very visualized. I mean, it's like what I said. It's really different from the other sculptures or from Egyptian period. Because like a lot of the Egyptian sculptures showing this muscular body if they're a man, and then like really smooth body when they're a female. But this is kind of, it's hard to see whether it's male body because it abandoned all this muscular lines, and then all this the facial expression of this is really different from the oldest Egyptian period. So I mean, like as we all kind of researched for the Amarna period, because of this, the King Akhenaten was not really popular from this all Egyptian citizens. So basically end up with kind of destroyed their history after his death. So can you go to the next one? Now basically let's try to show this in our Amarna period. I mean, the difference of Amarna period than the other period of Egyptian era is the Akhenaten abandoned the other god and then trying to worship the new one, which means like the name Aten. So all this difference come from this religions, what he adapted. Can you go to the next one? Yeah, this one is on the Greek period. So the name of this art piece is Greek goddess on the East Pediment of the Parthenon. Parthenon is a temple in the Acropolis, which is in the city in Athens. And then in there's a story in the Greek mythology that actually so this one is in East Pediment of the Parthenon, and then when you see the West Pediment, there's more really showing this relation between Athena and Poseidon. And as all people know, this Athena city is worshipping the goddess Athena. And then in Greek mythology, kind of Poseidon and Athena was kind of competing to get this city under their name. So these two gods came into this world and then telling these people in Athens that say if they accept themselves as their god, they're gonna do this for them, do this for them. So Athena was promised them to give the olive tree if they kind of pick her as their goddess. And Poseidon says they're gonna give a white cow to them. It's kind of funny thing is because when you see this Greek mythology, all this you can see is like the selfishness of gods, but they're showing kind of democracy, trying to get the vote from this petty humans. And anyway, so the Greek people, the people in Athens choose Athena as their goddess. So I think that's why they put this kind of story on their pediment to like how what actually happened to being Athena as their goddess, and this is their right side of pediment. And then there's a lot of discussion before, but people saying this three goddesses Hestia, Dione, and Aphrodite, and you can like clearly see this figure of difference between the first artwork that I showed, the figure of Akhenaten. I mean, it's first of all their gesture is really dynamic, even though they don't have their arms, they lost their arms and head. We can see that they're not sitting still, they're not like laying still, they're kind of twisting their bodies, and then all this clothes showing really realistic skills. That's kind of comparing to the figure of Akhenaten. And then this body, like if you compare this figure of Akhenaten itself and then to the Egyptian art, this Amarna period work is really much more realistic. This one is, we can say, is a realism period of art, but the difference is this is like a representative of their era. So I mean, in this part of time, this skill is a popular way how they express the human figure. In a Greek time, realism was the way how they express the human figure. But in an Egyptian era, the Amarna period style of figure was really like iconoclast. So I mean, the way how they made it was not popular, was not a common way to do it. So I mean, even though they're kind of showing a concept of realism, this one is showing the common way, and that one is showing more like new, more like iconoclastic way, like so different from the other ways. And can you go to the next one, please? This is the Parthenon. That is a picture of Parthenon like nowadays, so it's kind of bent in all this pediment itself, but kind of take it away. And while researching these two pieces, like really in its first time, I see a lot of differences, but but not only that differences, but also see this, they are kind of sharing a same concept, a similarity, which means they're worshipping something. Can you go to the next one, please? It's kind of a relevant picture, but so these two art pieces, even though the concept of them in their period was so different, they're showing a similar concept, the worshipping. The figure of Akhenaten was in the temple to worship the king, and then like in Egyptian art, these people used to think that king is kind of king is as high as the god. So the character of worshipping the king was pretty much similar to how these people in Greek worship the Greek god, how they built like Acropolis, a temple to worship the Athena, and then how these Egyptian people built a temple for Akhenaten and the worship, even though the Akhenaten was not very popular. So it really kind of interested me is that even this a long time gap, and even this how people think which way is really fitted to worship their god, which ways really fitted to their culture. Because like in Greek art, people think that people started to put the ages on their sculptures. So I mean, in Egyptian art, even though the Samarna period one is so different, they still express the face as ageless. That's like the common way how to do it in Egyptian period. But in Greek period, they started to put some like wrinkles, and they started like have a girl, old ladies, like men, old men. I mean, so they in a Greek time they think that people with the expression of age is also important to these dedication of religions. So I mean, it's really different. It's really different, but sharing the one same concept. They all built this to worship something. So what I think what I think with this similarity, with this sharing concept of this two, is that the image of God they built is actually lower than their own culture. So when you see this culture one by one, it seems like the image of God is it's like as a starting line of their culture. But when you compare these two, it seems like they built their culture first, and then they put the federal God, they changed the image of God into their culture, and then make them as the one of their worshiping. So it also kind of wondering me that now we're kind of judging their style of worship, and we say that the culture is higher than the image of God, but we're still living in the time that worshiping something as our divine thing. I mean, such as religion or something like, politics. So I guess I mean, it'll be kind of funny how people in like several centuries later to see our culture and the culture of Egyptian era, and then like comparing each other. Yeah, thank you very much.